What if a top U.S. intelligence official was caught inside a private chat room where real-time war plans were being posted, exact launch times, aircraft types, and targets, all unfolding while the world had no idea? That's not a hypothetical. That's what stunned Congress this week when Representative Jim Himes confronted two of Washington's most powerful intelligence figures, Kash Patel and Tulsi Gabbard. What started as a routine hearing exploded into one of the most uncomfortable exchanges ever caught on record. And by the end, everyone in that room realized they weren't just debating politics. They were staring at a national security nightmare in progress. Himes began calmly, but his words hit like a warning flare.
The national security of the United States is the powers and prerogatives of this Congress in its oversight duties. So I want to spend a minute or so on yesterday's testimony in front of the Senate and direct these questions in particular to Director Patel and Director Gabbard. Yesterday, Senator Heinrich asked, did this conversation, referring to the signal chat, include information on weapons, packages, targets, or timing? Director Patel, you said not that I'm aware of. Director Gabbard, you said same answer. This morning we learned that the signal chat included the following update, forward-looking update from the Secretary of Defense. Time now, 11:44 Eastern Time. Weather is favorable. Just confirmed with CENTCOM. We are go for mission launch. 12:15 Eastern Time. F-18 launch. First strike package. 13:45 trigger-based F-18 first strike window starts. Target terrorist is at his known location, so should be on time. Also, strike drones launch. MQ-9s. 14:10. More F-18s launch. Second strike package. Do either of the directors want to reflect on their testimony yesterday in the context of what I just read?
Sure. One, I was not on that signal chat. Two, I have not reviewed it. And three, as you just indicated, that was made public this morning.
But, Director, you didn't, prior to yesterday's Senate, you were on the signal chat, correct?
No.
Okay, but did you review the material on the signal chat?
No, I wasn't
Okay.
on it.
Director Gabbard?
Yes, Ranking Member. My answer yesterday was based on my recollection, or the lack thereof, on the details that were posted there. I was not, and what was shared today reflects the fact that I was not directly involved with that part of the signal chat and replied at the end reflecting the effects, the very brief effects that the National Security Advisor had shared.
So it's your testimony that less than 2 weeks ago, you were on a signal chat that had all of this information about F-18s and MQ-9 Reapers and targets on strike, and you in that 2-week period simply forgot that that was there. That's your testimony?
My testimony is I did not recall the exact details of what was included there.
That was not your testimony. Your testimony was that you were not aware of anything related to weapons packages, targets, and timing.
As the testimony yesterday continued on, there were further questions related to that, where I acknowledged that there was conversation about weapons, and I don't remember the exact wording that I used, but I did not recall the specific details that were included.
Director Gabbard, you've reasserted that there was no classified information. I think we can all agree that that information shouldn't have been out there. But let me ask you this. Are you familiar with the ODNI's classification guidance?
I'm familiar with it.
I've actually got a copy right here. If I read you a part of that guidance, I wonder if you could tell me what the level of classification indicated is. I'm reading from your classification guidance. And the criteria is information providing indication or advance warning that the U.S. or its allies are preparing an attack. Do you recall what your own guidance would suggest that that be classified?
I don't have the specifics in front of me, but it would point to what was shared would fall under the DoD's classification system and the Secretary of Defense's authority.
So let me
to
help you, because there's a very clear answer.
And what is not.
I guess you don't have it, but information providing, this is the ODNI guidance, information providing indication or advance warning that the U.S. or its allies are preparing an attack should be classified as top secret. Do you disagree with that?
I don't disagree with that. I just point out that the DoD classification guidance is separate from the ODNI's classification guidance.
Do you think it would be materially different?
Ultimately, the Secretary of Defense holds the authority to classify or declassify.
Do you think it's likely that DoD guidance is materially different from what I just read?
I haven't reviewed the DoD guidance, so I can't comment.
Director Gabbard, a lot of this suggests sort of a lack of sobriety. When there's punch emojis and fire emojis, it's a lack of sobriety. I don't mean that literally. But I have one last question for you, because I think people really listen to what you have to say. You, on March 15th, as DNI, retweeted a post from Ian Miles Chong, who is listed on RT, that's Russia Today's website, as, quote, a political and cultural commentator who has contributed content to RT since at least 2022. Director Gabbard, do you think that it's responsible for you as head of the intelligence community and the principal presidential intelligence advisor to retweet posts from individuals affiliated with Russian state media?
That retweet came from my personal account, and I would have to go back to look at the substance of the tweet.
Can I, just so that we don't have a lack of confusion amongst our allies and enemies and us, can I act perhaps that you not think that you should be saying one thing on your personal account than you say officially?
I maintain my First Amendment rights to be able to express my own personal views on different issues.
Thank you. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Gentleman yields now.
He reminded the room that Congress isn't a spectator in national defense. It's supposed to be the oversight body that ensures classified power never slips into chaos. Then he went straight for the question everyone had been whispering about, the Signal chat, a group thread where, according to reports, top defense officials and advisors had been messaging back and forth during a live operation that he read from the leaked posts like he was unrolling a map of disaster. Time now 11:44 a.m. Eastern. Weather favorable. Confirmed with CENTCOM. We are go for mission launch 12:15 Eastern. F-18 launch. Strike package 1. Trigger window 13:45. Target at known location. MQ. 9 Reapers launch 14:10. The chamber went silent. Those weren't vague hints. Those were operational details, timestamps, and attack sequences. The kind of data that lives under the highest level of secrecy. Top secret. Yet somehow, it ended up inside a chat group that wasn't even on a secure network. When Himes finished reading, he looked straight at Patel and Gabbard. Do either of you want to reflect on your testimony yesterday in light of what I just read? He asked. The tone was icy. Patel immediately tried to distance himself. I was not on that Signal chat, he said. I have not reviewed it. His defense was clear, separation, not explanation. But Gabbard's response was more complicated. She admitted she'd been part of the chat, but insisted she didn't recall the details. That's when the atmosphere shifted from tense to electric. Himes pressed harder. So your testimony is that less than 2 weeks ago you were on a Signal chat describing F-18 launches and drone strikes in real time, and you simply forgot. Gabbard hesitated, searching for words. I did not recall the exact details of what was included there, she said. The exchange felt surreal. Everyone in the room knew that forgetting something like that isn't a slip of memory. It's an impossibility. For anyone who's served around classified material, this was unthinkable. The Office of the Director of National Intelligence has explicit rules. Any information indicating that the U.S. or its allies are preparing an attack must be marked top secret. No exceptions. Himes reminded her of that. Do you disagree? He asked. Gabbard tried to pivot, saying that the Department of Defense had its own classification authority, but Himes wasn't having it. He read directly from the ODNI guidance. Information providing advance warning of an attack should be classified as top secret. In that moment, the credibility gap yawned open. Either the nation's intelligence leaders didn't understand the basics of classification, or they were pretending not to. Both options were equally dangerous. Because when the people at the top start blurring those lines, it filters all the way down the chain. What happens to discipline when leaders treat war plans like casual conversation? Then came the part that almost felt cinematic, except it was real. Himes referenced something that had shaken him even more than the leak itself, the tone of the messages. Punch emojis. Fire emojis. He paused. It's a lack of sobriety, he said, not meaning alcohol, but attitude. The implication was brutal. America's warfighting data had been reduced to a casual group chat, complete with reaction emojis. For Himes, it wasn't just a breach of protocol, it was a cultural breakdown. Because in the intelligence world, tone matters. A single careless sentence can signal a shift in posture to foreign adversaries. A misplaced emoji might seem trivial, but when attached to live operations, it reflects mindset, one that confuses informality for transparency and humor for control. Casual becomes careless, Himes warned. And when carelessness meets classified data, the results can spiral from mistake to catastrophe in seconds. But he wasn't finished. Out of nowhere, he pivoted, and what came next made the room visibly tighten. "Director Gabbard," he said, "on March 15th you retweeted a post from Ian Miles Chong, someone listed on RT's website as a contributor to Russian state media." There was an audible stir. Do you think it's responsible for the head of U.S. intelligence to share content from individuals affiliated with a foreign propaganda outlet? You could almost feel the temperature drop. Gabbard's answer was measured but defensive. "That retweet came from my personal account," she said. "I maintain my First Amendment rights." Himes nodded, then delivered the line that cut through everything. "Perhaps you shouldn't say something on your personal account that conflicts with what you say officially. Our enemies don't make that distinction." That was the moment of reckoning. This wasn't just about a leak anymore. It was about blurred boundaries between secure and casual, between personal and official, between patriotism and optics. When leaders who handle the nation's most sensitive information claim personal privilege as a shield, the question becomes, who's really guarding the guardrails? The hearing wrapped up, but the aftershock kept rippling. Commentators called it one of the most alarming glimpses into the inner workings of America's intelligence leadership in years. Not because of a single mistake, but because of what the exchange revealed about culture. The casual leaks, the conflicting answers, the blurred ethics of online behavior. All of it pointed to an erosion of seriousness inside institutions that depend on discipline to function. Think about what happened here. A messaging app, the same kind millions use daily, became the setting for real-time strike updates. If even one foreign actor had eyes on that chat, the consequences could have been devastating. Lives on the ground depend on secrecy. The wrong timestamp in the wrong hands can turn precision into chaos. Yet here we are, learning that senior officials debated whether they simply forgot about the details. This isn't the first time modern technology has collided with old-school security. The rise of encrypted apps has blurred what secure communication means. For many in government, personal devices and private threads have become stand-ins for classified systems. But encryption is not classification. A locked chat doesn't make something safe. It just hides it from oversight. And that's exactly what Himes was warning about. Oversight dies in the shadows of private apps. And beyond technology lies something deeper, a question of trust. Intelligence only works if those holding it are trusted to treat it as sacred. "I don't recall" might sound harmless in a hearing, but to the soldiers depending on accurate command, it sounds like betrayal. To America's allies watching from abroad, it sounds like instability. Every unanswered question, every forgotten detail, chips away at the foundation of confidence that holds coalitions together. So, what happens now? Oversight committees are expected to dig further, demanding records from the Pentagon and the ODNI to see how this chat existed, who had access, and whether the data was ever archived or leaked beyond the group. Early indications suggest at least one journalist may have been looped into the conversation. If true, that alone could spark a full-scale investigation. Because even if no classified document was transmitted, the content of those messages fits the definition of classified intelligence. Behind the scenes, defense analysts are quietly asking the same question the public is. How could this happen? The answer isn't about one chat. It's about culture. A generation of officials raised in an always-online world now occupies positions once defined by secrecy, compartmentalization, and restraint. The temptation to communicate instantly has replaced the instinct to verify security. What used to be whispered behind locked doors is now typed in group threads with emojis, and that's the danger. In intelligence work, discipline isn't optional, it's oxygen. When top leaders start treating classified operations like casual conversation, the system begins to rot from within. One careless message can reveal troop movements. One screenshot can expose covert programs. The idea that it's just a chat becomes the soft spot adversaries look for. and exploit Gabbard's defense that she acted in her personal capacity only deepens that worry. Because in the digital age, personal and official are almost impossible to separate. Every post, every share, every like carries the weight of the office behind it. Foreign governments don't differentiate between private opinions and policy signals. When an intelligence chief amplifies a voice tied to foreign propaganda, it doesn't just look careless. It is careless. The irony is painful. These are the same leaders responsible for protecting America from foreign cyber influence, yet they're undermining their own credibility online. And when the public sees that hypocrisy, it erodes faith not just in individuals, but in the entire intelligence establishment. Hymes's final words summed up the unease that hung in the air. Because in national security, memory lapses and blurred lines aren't just embarrassing, they're dangerous. He wasn't talking about one official's mistake. He was talking about a system that started confusing access with accountability, secrecy with silence, loyalty with convenience. If history teaches anything, it's that leaks rarely start as betrayals. They start as carelessness. A text here, a chat there, an assumption that encryption equals immunity. But each time that boundary slips, the risk multiplies. Because adversaries don't need to hack what's already been handed to them. The truth is, no one outside that Signal chat may ever know how deep the breach went. Maybe it was nothing more than reckless conversation. Maybe it was something worse. But the fact that Congress is even asking those questions means the line has already been crossed. And once trust in an institution cracks, rebuilding it takes more than closed-door hearings. It takes transparency, accountability, and a culture that remembers what secrecy is for. So as this investigation unfolds, keep an eye on two things. First, whether anyone is actually held accountable, not scapegoated, but truly responsible. And second, whether the people guarding America's secrets finally recognize that in the digital age, security isn't just about encrypting messages. It's about the mindset behind them. Because the next time a countdown to war appears in a chat window, the cost of a forgotten detail could be measured not in embarrassment, but in lives. If you believe these kinds of high-stakes moments deserve sunlight instead of silence, don't just scroll past. Stay informed, stay curious, and keep watching the people who claim to protect you. Like this video, share it, and subscribe, because democracy only works when citizens are paying attention.